They laughed at her like she was the punchline to a joke no one cared to explain. As she was dragged toward the courtyard gates, her cream linen dress crumpled and streaked with dust from the stone walkway. The laughter followed her, mocking, sharp, and relentless. Her flat scuffed, her braid half undone, her shoulders square despite it all. "Wedding crasher," someone jeered. "Probably here to seduce a billionaire," another voice chimed in, followed by a chorus of laughter. What they didn't realize, what none of them knew, was that the woman they were throwing out of the grandest wedding on Lake Ceresa wasn't some interloper. She was the bride. Her name was Clara Monroe. She arrived at the centuries-old Villa Cadenza on a warm June afternoon, where the lake mirrored the sky and the soft scent of jasmine floated in the breeze. The villa was an architectural marvel, a Renaissance estate now dressed in garlands of white roses, preparing for the ceremony of Everett Lowell, the elusive tech magnate who had taken the world by storm. The guest list was as protected as a presidential dossier, rumored to include Saudi royalty, crypto billionaires, fashion moguls, and media dynasties. Drones patrolled the perimeter. Security outnumbered staff. Everett wasn't just any entrepreneur. His startup, Cerebria, redefined artificial intelligence. It rebuilt economies, transformed cities, and with it amassed him a personal fortune north of $120 billion. This wedding wasn't just a celebration, it was a global spectacle disguised as a private event. And Clara? She arrived not in a limo but in a sun-faded Fiat cab. She wore no designer tags. Her dress, airy and elegant, whispered rather than shouted. Her hair, chestnut and soft, was pulled into a relaxed braid with strands framing her high cheekbones. No makeup except a sheen of lip gloss. In her hand she clutched a simple cream envelope, her invitation. She was 34. Her beauty was subtle but striking. Her poise, however, was unmistakable. She moved toward the VIP entrance slowly, quietly. A leather satchel hung at her side, aged but loved. Her flats whispered against the cobblestones. The guard standing at the archway scanned her from head to toe with eyes like stone. "Staff entrance is around the back," he said curtly in thick Italian English. Clara stopped a few feet away, unfazed. "I'm not staff," she said calmly, holding up the invitation. "Clara Monroe." The guard, his name ag read Nico, raised an eyebrow and took the card. He turned it over twice as if expecting it to vanish. Then he muttered something into his earpiece and stepped away. Clara waited beneath the white rose-draped arch while the guests began arriving. The first car, a sleek Rolls-Royce Phantom, delivered 3 women who sparkled more than the chandelier lighting above them. One wore emerald sequins, another a sapphire silk ensemble, the third glimmered head to toe in gold. They spotted Clara instantly. "Is she lost?" the woman in gold whispered theatrically. "Probably someone's old college roommate here to beg for a selfie." That was Nadine Arlo, hedge fund CEO, socialite, professional instigator. Flanking her were Giselle Drexler, daughter of a German broadcasting tycoon, and Tara Desai, Bollywood royalty turned digital currency investor. Nadine lifted her phone and snapped a photo. "This is going viral," she sneered. Clara stood still. Her eyes met Nadine's, cool and unwavering. "You could ask me who I am instead of assuming," she said, her voice smooth but edged. Nadine let out a condescending laugh. "Sweetheart, I don't talk to the help." That line rippled through the nearby guests like a match striking dry leaves. Cassandra Burns, a venture capitalist in a blood-red gown, sipped her champagne with disdain. "Has to be fishing for a rich target," she muttered. Her husband chuckled. "Bet she's a caterer who found the wrong door." Phones came out. Faces lit up with cruel amusement. Clara stood quietly, absorbing it all. Her grip on the invitation tightened ever so slightly. Then Nico returned, flanked by a severe-looking woman named Gia. Clipboard in hand, she squinted at Clara like a bad puzzle piece that didn't belong. "Your name's on the list," Gia snapped. "But your look doesn't match the crowd. Step aside." Before Clara could respond, Gia raised the clipboard like a weapon. "You really thought a fake invite would get you into a Lowell wedding?" she barked. "Where'd you print this, Ginkgos?" Gasps and laughter exploded from the crowd. Clara said nothing, her green eyes flickering with something, disappointment, perhaps, but buried deep. Then Gia ripped the card in half. Phones caught every angle. Someone screamed, "Fraud alert!" Nadine lifted her glass. "She's not here for love, she's hunting a trust fund." The mob joined in. Tara's voice rang clear. "Kindness? Please. This isn't a soup kitchen." Gia grabbed Clara by the arm. Nico took the other. Out, she said simply. They marched Clara down the steps as the crowd surged like sharks scenting blood. A crypto bro hurled a cocktail olive at her. It struck her cheek. Another woman tossed a napkin. Wipe off the shame. Through it all, Clara walked, not resisting, her steps calm. Her braid caught droplets of oil. Her cheeks flushed from sun and sting. The crowd hissed and snapped and filmed and posted. Her humiliation spread like fire across the internet. She thought she could blend in, Nadine snickered. Wrong party. Live streams labeled her a grifter. Memes were already circulating. Who let the help in? At the villa gates, as Nico reached for the latch, a voice rang out low, molten, and final. Let go of my wife. The world froze. The crowd hushed. Phones lowered. At the top of the terrace stood Everett Lowell. His suit caught the golden hour light like polished obsidian. Tousled dark hair, hazel eyes sharp enough to silence boardrooms, and a quiet fury that could flatten cities. He descended the steps with purpose. Clara, he said gently, taking her hand. You okay? She nodded once. Always Everett. He turned to face the crowd. This is Clara Monroe, he said, his voice carrying like a tidal wave. My wife. A collective gasp sucked the air from the terrace. We married privately. 6 months ago. No press. No headlines. Because we didn't want a circus. But today we wanted to celebrate publicly. Together. His gaze sliced through the crowd. Clara didn't dress down to deceive. She wanted to see who could see past the surface. And you all failed. A silence thicker than fog fell. Nadine's flute trembled. Tara stepped back. Cassandra looked away. She gave up tenure at Stanford. Everett continued, his voice steady. Tenure. For those who don't know what that means, it's security for life. She left it to stand by me when I had nothing but a vision and an overdraft. He turned back to Clara, brushing olive oil from her cheek. She's not chasing money. She's the reason it exists. Clara didn't speak. She didn't need to. Everett signaled to his aide, Elise. Pull the guest list. Cross-check every phone. Every name that insulted Clara Theory gone. Security moved swiftly. Names were called. Nadine's face paled. You're joking? No, Elise replied. You're leaving. Nadine was escorted out, tripping on her heel. Her phone dropped, cracking on the stone. Her hashtags imploded. Her brand crumbled in real time. Giselle and Tara followed. Cassandra was led out in silence. The crowd whispered. A digital storm erupted. Justice for Clara. Clara Monroe is queen. Billionaire bride. One by one, the cruel and the shallow were removed like weeds from a garden. Then Everett turned to Clara. You didn't have to do this, he said softly. She smiled. But I wanted to. She disappeared briefly inside the villa. When she returned, the crowd stilled. Clara wore an ivory gown embroidered with pearls, her hair loose and soft around her face. She wasn't just beautiful. She was radiant. The officiant, Father Romano, stepped forward as the sun dipped behind the hills. The lake turned gold. Vows were exchanged. Everett promised a home in every storm. Clara promised to stay grounded in truth and in love. They kissed under the bloom of white roses and quiet redemption. The reception followed under a sky full of stars. The music soared, the laughter now real. Clara and Everett danced as lanterns glowed around them. Elise approached later with a quiet smile. You're trending, she said. Iconic. Everett pulled Clara closer. She always was. And the world watched not the dress, not the villa, not the diamonds. They watched the woman who had walked through fire and didn't burn. Clara Monroe Lowell didn't need to be crowned. She already was.